everyone. The time is now 8 o'clock. We are going to get the Committee on Appointments started. Our first action item today is a resolution authorizing appointments to the 2024-2025 Mayor's Youth Council. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion is supported. Any discussion on this item? I don't see. Oh, Zach, come on up. Thanks for coming.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so thank you for having this item for our commissioners and our city staff. Excuse me. I'm Zach Laraway. I'm the program coordinator for our community's children. OCC Executive Director Shannon L. Harris apologizes that she cannot be here today to discuss this year's Mayor's Youth Council cohort. The list of students before you embody the 27 scholars seeking appointment to the 2024-2025 Mayor's Youth Council for this current academic year. This cohort will mark the 26th edition of the Mayor's Youth Council here in Grand Rapids, which started in 1999. All student candidates are current 9th through 12th graders and have completed their application, their membership interview, and confirmed their residency within the city of Grand Rapids, and they are proudly representing all 3 wards of our city. I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that 3rd Ward Commissioner Kelsey Perdue is also a former MYC member, and I'm sure she remembers her time on the council fondly.
Very fondly, thank you.
This year's council is comprised of 11 students residing in our 1st ward, 7 in our 2nd ward, and 9 in our 3rd ward, with a total of 9 different high schools in the Grand Rapids area having representation. Each youth member has confirmed their intention to use their time in the MYC to better understand the functions of local city government and to use their collective voice to provide input on many issues affecting teens and other adults. Other young adults, excuse me. And lastly, in addition to representing their schools and communities, the MYC will learn about the importance of election and voter processes, community engagement, and of course, hosting our annual Kids Speak event that provides a platform for youth voice. And that will be held in April 2025. So with that, we look forward to our youth members engaging with our city's leadership this year, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, you are right. I do look back on those times fondly. And it's been exciting to see the Mayor's Youth Council grow. When I was a member 20 years ago? 20 years ago, there were only 2 students from each ward. And so you see it's really grown, so more students can take advantage of this amazing opportunity that we provide. So thank you. Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Commissioner Isasi?
So it was even more competitive when you were doing it,
Yes.
Commissioner. Wow.
That's a way to look at it.
No, it's a very good point. I just wanted to say thank you for your work and Shannon's work and the students. As you all know, it's election season, and we had a forum 1 week ago now. And being that I'm a candidate this year, I've seen a lot of forums play out. The Mayor's Youth Council Forum was the most pre-planned, most well-organized, most thoughtful one that I've been to, and that's nothing from anybody else, but I think they have obviously learned the understanding and the basics. What are candidates experiencing during this time, which is not a lot of time, so they made it valuable. My sister, who has a young student at one of the GRPS schools, is like, hey, I heard about this. I didn't even tell her. And so I just want to say congratulations. That is a huge feat, especially during a time where we know people need more information, particularly about our local races, our commission, mayoral, and Kent County races, because we're getting lost in this, everything else that's happening at this state and federal level, which is also important. But I left out of there so proud. I didn't even say the whole time, but I want to continue to highlight that. Very well done. Thank you for your leadership. Thanks for, I think what your leadership, you all are doing is ensuring that these young people are leaders right now. And that's what I consistently hear. You're leaders right now. It's not in the future. So just immensely proud. Thank you.
And Commissioner, any other comments?
Yeah, I'll just add, I have always really enjoyed my opportunities to sit down with the Mayor's Youth Council too, and just always really impressed by the maturity that they bring to those conversations and the thoughtfulness of the questions that they prepare ahead of time too. And so I think it's just really encouraging to me to see younger people. It's something I'm very passionate about, just getting involved and caring enough to know what's going on at the local level. And so I just do want to add my thanks for all of your work and for the students and for committing their time to this purpose. So thanks.
Thank you both. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to this next, did you say 26th class? 26th class of the Mayor's Youth Council. All right, and with that, our second item for today is if there's any discussion around our current board and commission vacancy list. Before I open it up, I just want to remind folks that this is a time where a lot of terms are ending, and so a time where folks have the opportunity to reapply. So there's been some emails that have been going out. They are not from a City of Grand Rapids email, so I've heard some confusion about that. They're through a software, Granicus, so folks just be aware of that. When you get those emails, just follow the instructions if you wish to reapply for your board if your term is expiring. With that, my only other updates are there's a lot of conversation behind the scene moving. The mayor has put forth a number of names for a number of boards. I'm looking at, and thank you for your help this past few weeks, looking at candidates for the Affordable Housing Board. So there will be quite a few appointments coming up here, I imagine, in the next few meetings that we have for appointments. Any other comments from any of my colleagues? Seeing none this way, seeing none this way. All right, 8:06, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We will call the Fiscal Committee to order here at 8:30. And our first item on the agenda this morning is a resolution accepting a grant award from the United States Department of Justice, Office of Violence Against Women, in the amount of $500,000.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Weibel, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for consideration of this grant request. I have Clarissa Novak with me. She is our Victim Services Coordinator at the Police Department. She'll be here for any questions on this program. But first, I want to thank former Deputy Chief Kristen Rogers, Stevie Parcell, and Renee Rogers from our staff, and Clarissa for pushing this over the finish line. This is a huge grant for us to receive, $500,000 over 3 years. We're very excited to move forward with it. The grant requires us to form a high-risk, multidisciplinary team focused on intervening and reducing domestic violence, especially for victims who are at risk for near-fatal or fatal injuries. The grant provides 50% of salary and benefits for a social worker for victim services at the police department, 60% salary and benefits for a bilingual crisis advocate for high lethality scenarios out of Safe Haven Ministries, and 60% salary and benefits for a crisis intervention advocate who shows up on scene and can deal with sexual and domestic assault survivors. And again, that's the whole point of this grant, is to have government and community come together. So GRPD, Safe Haven Ministries, and the YWCA will all be working together. Happy to take any questions.
Very good. Colleagues, questions? Commissioner Sassi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for this report. Yeah, it's too bad that this came when we got on the agenda after DC Rogers left, because I know that she had a lot of leadership along with Carissa and others. And I just think it's really fitting. Yesterday, I know, was the vigil for domestic violence victims on the Blue Bridge with a number of the providers that you talked about. So thank you all for, seeking out these funds. I think when we look at our statistics and know that, a significant number of these serious assaults or homicides are because of a domestic violence situation, we have to continue to pull upon these resources that exist. This is a much larger issue than Grand Rapids. So thank you so much for this work.
Thank you. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Item 2 is a resolution authorizing a one-year agreement with Consumers Energy for emergency with generator commercial and industrial demand response program for the Franklin and Dean Lake pumping stations.
Moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Jernberg, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. What you have in front of you is an agreement for next summer. Through the summer months, we have, over the past 5 to 7 years now, we have worked with Consumers Energy to shave our load on days that they call for peak demands. So we switched to our generators, stop taking electricity or limit our electricity off the grid. We've been doing this at our filtration plant, like I said, for several years now. And now that we have generator setups that make it a little bit more efficient for us, we're going to be doing this at our Franklin Pump Station and Dean Lake with them. And then we ultimately, when we shave our load and they call us, we're getting a check back from them. So.
Great. Colleagues, questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, resolution approving an agreement between the City of Grand Rapids and the Kent County Convention Arena Authority related to Acrisure Amphitheater parking structure bonds.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms.
Well, I'll get this going, and
Laren?
he can pinch hit if there's more to add. But this mirrors a lot of our agreement we discussed before with Kent County, where we are issuing bonds on the behalf of the CAA. This is the agreement that puts in the structure of how we're going to go about doing that. One thing that's similar in particular is this creation of a debt service reserve account, where we are going to hold a fund that's going to contain 150% of the average annual debt service, just as a way to mitigate risk for the city, since we are using our full faith and credit to issue these bonds. So that's one thing. And another item of note is when we did the notice of intent, which we'll talk about in the next item, but it was $30.5 million with construction estimates. Now we're estimating on issuing around 24.3. And Kate, I don't know if you have anything to add there. We also
Nope, just happy to answer any questions, and note that we also have folks from the CAA and Grand Action here should there be other questions.
Very good. Colleagues, are there questions, comments about this one?
Good morning. Less of a question and just more of a comment. We've talked a lot about these projects over the last many months, and I appreciate all the efforts that have been made to kind of make sure that we have that reserve fund so that we are not in a pinch with our general fund if expected revenues don't meet debt service amounts. And just want to, reiterate that I'm looking forward to seeing how these projects will be transformational for our entire community, whether that's for ensuring diverse supplier support or ensuring public access to these public spaces. And I just want to reiterate last time that an item related to these projects came before us. We reiterated that the revenues from these projects will be used to pay down the debt service. So thank you.
Very good. Other questions? Oh, no. Very good. Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing capital improvement bonds in an amount not to exceed $30.5 million for the parking structure at the Acrisure Amphitheater.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported.
Okay, well, this is the next step after the notice of intent we issued in the July. We plan on issuing that $24.3 million in mid-November. I plan to talk to rating agencies later on this month about the issuance, and so that's our plan.
Very good. Any further questions? All right, hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for everyone that worked on these. Item 5 is our bid list resolution for October 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Claren?
We have one item this morning, just Rockwell Automation. This has to do with out of the sewage disposal fund, and it's really just tech support, automated control hardware, things like that.
Very good. Colleagues, questions? All right, hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6 is our Comptroller's warrant report for the period September 10, 2024 through September 23, 2024, and the monthly travel report. Mr. Comptroller.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the period referenced, we released cash payments totaling approximately $28.5 million. That includes $5.3 million for employee payroll expense and just over $119,000 for income tax warrants. In terms of quantity, we issued 387 income tax refunds and 1,187 checks and electronic payments were issued. And the details of those payments over $20,000 are included on the following pages. We also have here our August fiscal year-to-date travel report representing the travel spend by department for the first 2 months of the fiscal year. And that report is showing that we've spent $264,000 or approximately 9% of the overall budget. And that concludes the 2 reports that we have this morning.
Very good. Colleagues, questions for the Comptroller? All right, hearing none, those reports will be received and filed. And our final item is our Treasurer's report for the period September 11, 2024 through September 24, 2024. Mr. Treasurer.
Good morning, Commissioners. With the report today, we're showing you some of the expectations or how things have changed now that we've had our first rate cut. So we've got a couple different things here, and I really want to point out that Fed Chair Powell has repeatedly stated that the FOMC interest rate decisions are made based on available economic data. So they're not looking to jump. They're not looking to give you insight that they're going to drop. That's not what they're going to do. They're still going to wait till those things materialize in terms of the economic data. The first set of charts that we have showing you is for 2024 through 2026, showing you the shift in the projections in inflation, what they think was going to happen. So the dotted lines are where they were, shifting to the solid boxes, which are where they're projecting now. So we can see a pretty dramatic shift in 24 and 25. Really, 26 is too far out, so they're still pretty much in that same ballpark, but more solidly in the 1.9 to 2%. With the second set of charts, it shows where they're projecting Fed funds rate from 2024 through 2026. And you can see a pretty significant change in 24 and 25. Much less in terms of 26, but it's spread out in a lot, so that horizon's too far out to really get a good gauge. So I just want to show you that there's still more solid footing to say we're going to see rates continue to come down, but the Fed's going to keep tapping the brakes until the economic data actually reveals itself. With our report today, we do show that we have $757 million in bond funds as well as our reserve and operating funds, earning 3.66%.
Very good. Colleagues, questions for the Treasurer? Hearing none, those reports will be received and filed. And with that, we will conclude our fiscal committee at 8:39. Thank you.
it is 9:15. We'll go ahead and get our Community Development Committee underway here. We've got 8 items before us, so that can only mean construction season is finally slowing down. But jumping right in here, we'll start with item number 1, which is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit to Live Nation Worldwide for indoor special effects at 20 Monroe in connection with GLC Live at 20 Monroe on October 12th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome.
Oh, is this working? Okay, it is.
Yep, you're good.
Good morning. It's just cold sparks for a wedding, so it's pretty simple.
Cold
All right.
sparks for a wedding, okay.
You
What
gotta
is?
celebrate.
That's great. Any questions, colleagues?
No.
Nope. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Item number 2 is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for Feld Entertainment Incorporated, DBA Jurassic World Live, Ringling Bros Circus for indoor special effects at the Van Andel Arena in connection with the Jurassic World Live, Ringling Bros Circus on October 25th through 27th, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported.
All right. Mostly flame effects than more than pyro, so, but I'll be there.
All right, great. Any questions, colleagues?
No.
All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. Item number 3 is a resolution approving a request for Diwali Indian Festival of Lights consumer-grade fireworks discharge.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. So this is a request from the Grand Rapids Sikh Temple. It is an annual festival of lights that they do, and they want to discharge consumer-grade fireworks as part of the festival.
All right, great. Any questions on that one, colleagues? All right, seems like a really cool event. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 is a resolution, awarding a contract with EV Construction Company for various fire stations door replacement in the amount of $301,527, with a total amount not to exceed $429,440.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, I believe, Mr. Bergman?
Yes, good
All
morning,
right.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
So this project includes work on various passage and overhead doors, some repairs and replacements at the Kalamazoo, Burton, Leonard, Colville, and Monroe fire stations. Received 3 bids for the work on September 17th, with EV providing that low bid that was read of $301,527 under the estimate of about $411,000. So seeking your approval of that award to EV with the total not to exceed amount of $429,440 coming from the Capital Improvement Fund Facilities Management line item.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that one, colleagues? All right, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Item number 5 is a resolution awarding a contract with Dykema Excavators Incorporated for improvements to the flood protection system at 501 Market Avenue in the amount of $815,365.50, with a total amount not to exceed $1,212,410.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported.
501 Market is located between the Grand River and Market Avenue, just west of Godfrey. The property was previously acquired from the former owner, G-Lock, through an agreement that Commission approved back on April 9th of this year. It was acquired in combination with the adjoining property to the north and east, 489 Market, and that property, which is a surface parking lot, will serve as the route for the outlet of the Godfrey sewer separation project. City staff and our consulting engineers have been investigating a seepage issue that has occurred at 501 Market on a number of occasions, specifically noted in 2013, 2018, and 2023 when the river levels have reached a certain point. We've seen flooding come up through the floor of that garage building at 501. So that's been cause for concern for us as it relates to the flood wall in that area, as well as the east side trunk sewer, which is integral to that wall. We've utilized temporary measures when that flooding has presented itself previously, but coming forward with this project now to demolish the existing structure and then install an underdrain system below grade and make repairs to that concrete flood wall. Dykema provided the low bid of 5 bids that were received in that amount of $815,365. $365.50 under our engineer's estimate of about $923,000. They will be utilizing a 12% micro local business enterprise participation rate on the work. So asking for your approval of the award to Dykema and authorization of that total not to exceed of $1,212,410, which will be coming from Kent County Drain Commission bond funds.
All right, thank you. I know we had talked about this property and some of the challenges that the company there was experiencing, but have we found that seepage issue has remained pretty local just to that property, or have we figured out any more on what was causing it?
It's pretty defined where it has come up through the floor, but the issue is if it were not for the temporary measures that we've installed, we've worked with our environmental services department to install trap bag systems to kind of act as a levee so that when those waters rise, it doesn't extend, beyond that localized area. And so this fix, we believe, will prevent that from occurring in the future.
Great. I'm sure they're looking forward to that, as is the nearby residents there. So any questions on that one, colleagues? All right. Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yep.
That carries. All right. That brings us to item number 6, which is a resolution approving an agreement with MDOT and authorizing expenditures in an amount not to exceed $248,340 for the local share of costs for the installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons at various locations.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported.
So we are working with Mobile GR, who's seeking to enhance pedestrian safety at 6 intersections by installing the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, new ADA ramps, and associated pavement markings. Those locations are Leonard and North, Alpine and Myrtle, Chavez and Rumsey, Martin Luther King Jr. Street in Lafayette, Plymouth and Griggs, and lastly Burton and Rosewood. 50% of the project is funded in part through a $248,000 Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. So the project is being administered through MDOT with a total estimated project cost of $496,500. So the resolution before you approves the city's entering into that agreement with MDOT and authorizes our local share of $248,340 to come from the parking system fund.
Great. Anything, Ms. Smith, that you want to add about those? Nope. All right. I will call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. Item number 7 is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for October 22nd, 2024 to consider a brownfield plan amendment for a redevelopment project located at 975 Ottawa Avenue Northwest, units 1 through 4.
So moved.
Support.
All right. Moved and supported.
This is, this is a resolution for traditional brownfield redevelopment eligible activities. So demo, lead and asbestos abatement, site prep, and infrastructure. This is a little over $1 million in eligible activities with total development costs at $16.5 million to activate the 45,000 square foot 2-story building just about a half mile north of us right now. This will be rehabilitated into a full service entertainment facility, which will be known as Silva. There will be a restaurant, large event space, recreation area, including bocce ball for those interested. And a portion of the building will also be exhibition space and converted to parking. So this, number 7, is the resolution for the public hearing for the brownfield plan amendment, and then it's coupled with that last item for the OPRA exemption certificate.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions, colleagues? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. That'll bring us to our last item, item number 8, which Ms. Reynero mentioned is a kind of a couple item for the same project. This one's a resolution scheduling the public hearing for October 22nd, 2024 to consider an application for the 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate pursuant to Public Act 146 of 2000 for MWS Ottawa LLC at 975 Ottawa Avenue Northwest, units 1 through 4.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Anything else you want to add, Ms. Reynero? No. All right. Any other questions, colleagues?
No.
All right. Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That one carries. So that concludes our scheduled business here for this morning. I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 9:24, and we'll see everybody back in here at the top of the hour for Committee of the Whole.
everyone. Hey. All right, we'll go ahead and get started on this Tuesday, our first commission meeting of the month for our committee of the whole, so I'll call that to order. And commissioners, we have a number of action items, and then we also have some briefings and updates, and then we also have executive session, total of 3, correct, City Attorney? So 3 executive sessions, 2 we'll do right after. Are we going to do all of them at the same time right after our afternoon meeting, or? Okay. And they'll all take place after our 2 o'clock meeting. And we'll be joined by some outside counsel for those. So I'll call that question after we get through the resolutions and before we get to the briefings. And then a reminder, we have EDPT today at 12:30, and then we're back together in here at 2 o'clock for our 2 o'clock City Commission meeting. So we'll start with the first item before us today. This is a resolution approving the request from Bridge Street Bar LLC for a development district liquor license to be located at 600 Bridge Street Northwest. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments on that item? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to a resolution electing the appointed officials and authorizing the mayor to execute employment agreements for such officials. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, this item we've been working on for some time, but there still appears to be a couple questions and outstanding issues. So it's my understanding that there's support to postpone. So I will open it up for conversation before I call the question.
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to postpone this item until November 12th, which is our first meeting of our November month.
Okay. Is there support for that postponement? Support. All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions?
Madam Mayor, I'll just add what you said. I certainly would, I'm grateful for the time, and would also just say, I hope that we can resolve some of the questions and items, and then move forward on the 12th. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And as I indicated, when we started this process, we still have ample time. Contracts go through the end of the year, December 31st. And so having been through some of the work with outside counsel, I believe moving it to the 12th is not going to have a negative impact on moving forward before the end of the year. All right. All those in favor for the postponement to November 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, we'll bring that back before us at our meeting on November 12th. All right, next is a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the State Land Bank Authority, establishing the Grand Rapids Land Bank Authority. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. We have our Economic Development Director here with us today. We have talked about this at length, and we know that one aspect of moving forward is to pass this resolution. Doesn't mean we need to move forward immediately, but at least it establishes the land bank with the state, and then gives us time to work out the governance and the process moving forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Raniero.
Thank you. I was going to just touch on this briefly today since the overview presentation that we did back in August. So we've been working to administratively stand this authority up. As the mayor mentioned, the resolution before you would authorize an interlocal agreement to establish such an authority. And I wanted to just briefly touch on a couple of things from that presentation in August. So as a reminder, maybe I don't need to tell you what land banks are. That seems silly at this point, doesn't it? Okay, so Detroit is the only other
But
city.
Sarah,
Yes,
you're
should I?
speaking to the commission and the public. So.
Okay, fair enough. I will keep the formality here. So as a reminder, land banks are public authorities created to acquire, hold, manage, and facilitate redevelopment of property in order to activate properties for productive use, to meet community goals such as increasing affordable housing or stabilizing values. Detroit is the only other citywide land bank in the state. There's 51 countywide land banks. Post the dissolution of the Kent County Land Bank in 19, the city really set in motion a strategic examination at that time of the city's housing efforts and resulted in the Collaborative Housing Needs Assessment as well as the Affordable Housing Fund. Additionally, at that time, the city partnered with the State Land Bank to manage the portion of the portfolio alongside the state. In 2021, the city advocated legislatively for the ability to to establish its own authority, and in February of '24, post the act becoming effective in '23, it allows Grand Rapids to do this. And so we are in a position to establish an authority for two reasons: because we are a qualified city, so we are more than 50,000 in population, and we also are located in a county without an authority. Creation of the land bank would transfer the state's portfolio and would allow us to more proactively and efficiently acquire troubled or hard-to-develop property for strategic purposes in concert with our master plan goals, as well as our equitable economic development and mobility strategy. Because the Economic Development Department has already been managing a portion of this workload and administers the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, which is well-positioned to provide expertise because of the synergies between the Land Bank Act and the Brownfield Redevelopment Financing Act, staff is suggesting at this time that the BRA Board serve as the Land Bank Authority Board. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority Board had an educational overview of land banks at its September board meeting and has established a subgroup that will be meeting to help further craft the goals for a citywide land bank. So next we will, if we're supportive today, we'll work closely with that subgroup to really get bylaws and operating procedures and articles of incorporation established. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that overview, even though I know many of us are familiar with this act, and some of us worked really hard for the last couple of years to have the legislation passed that would enable us to create our own land bank since the county land bank dissolved. So I'll just add a few thoughts on this item because I think the land bank is a really critical tool that can be of tremendous use in our city to meet some of our goals, particularly around housing. I served on the Kent County Land Bank. I know some of you know that. And I think it was a great tool then and enabled us to redevelop a number of properties in our city. But the season we were in as a community is very different than what it is today. You know, when the Kent County Land Bank was in place, we were at a time of significant recession. We had a lot of foreclosures. We had a lot of dilapidated and contaminated sites. And the land bank was able to step in and help with getting many of those properties developed. So we're in a different season, I think, as a community, but also our needs are very different. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Brownfield Authority as a subcommittee to start working on what does this potentially look like. That's what they did for the housing TIF and then brought that back to us. But I also recognize that the individuals sitting around this table next year may have different ideas. And so, what we decide on today doesn't have to be what the Grand Rapids Land Bank is into the future. There can be amendments and changes made next year as we get more information and as the Brownfield Authority has an opportunity to meet and come up with some recommendations. So I'm supportive of moving forward with this today, getting it established, and then taking our time to really work through the details on what the scope of the Grand Rapids Land Bank is and how it operates. Any additional thoughts? I would have shared that had I been here last month or in August when you had the briefing. So I apologize I wasn't able to be a part of that important conversation. But Commissioner Sassy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Ms. Raniero, for the presentation. I'll just add that, yes, at our Brownfield Authority meeting, we had the overview. There is the subcommittee. As was mentioned, there's some precedents for this sort of work group. I think the questions that initially for the body are just, what does this look like from an additional workload for the Economic Development Department? And so we, really talked about how there was the connection point already at the State Land Bank Authority, and so this work is already being done. It would just probably bring it a little bit closer, but certainly there's been a lot of synergy too with the State Land Bank. And then a reminder that we've added that position of that business manager position. I see Mr. Doug Booth in the audience, and so I know has been part of this work as well. So those were some of the things that, if you all recall, we've did sort of 6 months ago, and I think that has been helpful for the body to understand. And I'll just look forward to those future discussions. So thanks for setting that up.
Yeah, Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Robbins, did you have any?
I did, yeah. Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Ms. Reynaud, for the presentation, for bringing this back before us. I'll start by saying I will support this resolution. I'm excited to see the way that it'll work, synergistically with the Brownfield program as well, to bring about some additional housing resources in our city. I think just my one ask too is, as we move forward and talk about its governance and how we roll out the policy with that, is just maintaining communication and soliciting feedback from the various developers, of all sizes within our community. I think my only slight hesitation is just, that properties that might become eligible for a land bank might end up, sitting there for a period of time. And, if given the opportunity to some other smaller emerging developers in the community, they could, potentially bring forth housing solutions quicker on those properties. So I think maybe city manager, it would just be good to get like an email update periodically on what types of properties and how many are becoming eligible for this land bank, and how we're proactively moving and keeping the ball rolling along to make sure we're putting them to good use. So,
Let's go City Manager and then Commissioner Knight.
Yeah, I can envision, thank you, Commissioner, for the comment. I can envision after its establishment, not only do they have their public meetings as an authority, but also some kind of periodic update either to EDPT or Committee of the Whole periodically.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Thank you.
Commissioner Knight?
Just want to echo the sentiments on this and moving forward, and knowing the statement that you made, that I'm interested in being a part of those conversations as well. And so I think a few of us have some different thoughts and ideas that we'd like to see happen as this continues to move forward. So I'm grateful that this is happening in our community. I think it's something that we need. We are in a different time, truly. So I appreciate those thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. And I'm grateful that you're interested in being a part of this. So, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next is a resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment for the Talbot Bridge LLC redevelopment project, and this is located at 648 Bridge Street Northwest and 345 Lexington Avenue Northwest. Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported by our first ward commissioners. Commissioners, we did get quite a bit of information about this project, both at EDPT as well at one of our last public hearings. We were able to hear directly from the developer on this project. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Reynaud to add any additional information before we move forward.
Just to jog the memory, this is a project along the Bridge Street corridor, the former grocery store, activating 148 apartments with the construction of a new 5-story mixed-use building. I'm happy to go into more detail if you have any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'll just note, I appreciate the engagement that the developer's doing with this project. I've heard very positive feedback about them and the past work that they've done within our city. So look forward to seeing this come to fruition in our Bridge Street corridor, and looking forward to getting some more housing in the area.
Great, thank you. All right, Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to a resolution, this companion item, resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment for the 385 Leonard Street Northeast redevelopment. Oh, no, it's not, it's separate. And located at, let me read that again. It's a resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment for 385 Leonard Street Northeast redevelopment project located at 385 Leonard Street Northeast. I feel like I transposed those numbers. It's the project on Leonard Street related to housing next to Sun Title. How's that? Do I get a motion?
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. All right, with that, I'll turn it back to Mr. Nero. We also had a public hearing on this item, and I know our second ward commissioners are well aware of this project.
Yes, as the mayor indicated, we did have a public hearing on September 24th City Commission meeting, and this is also a 5-story mixed-use building activating 181 apartments over in the Creston area.
Great, thank you. Excited to see this move forward. I know there were some concerns raised about parking, and I believe those have been discussed and addressed with some of the neighbors that brought those concerns to our attention. I'll just say, commissioners, all of us have been well aware of the need for housing, and that a significant part of addressing housing across the entire spectrum, including affordable housing, is to increase supply. And so these two projects together are over 300 units of housing, smaller projects in two very different neighborhoods. And so it's good, in my opinion, to see both of these come forward along with the next project that's before us as well. So any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Isasi, you've been involved in this project.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I think much like the last project that we talked about, obviously, different groups, but they have also been very engaged with the Creston Neighborhood Association, so I wanted to say thank you. I think a lot of our neighborhood associations are, given the number of developments that have come through, have been pretty busy with either a land use committee or their regular meetings, having people come in. I know Sun Title's hosted them just to talk about this project. And then additional, I'll share, one of the visions that this project has is that it would actually be housing for people that are working in their organization. So I think we see that in a lot of communities, whether it's for educational institutions or other employers. And so I think this is, hopefully this will fit in that vision, and individuals will be able to kind of live and work on that same site. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And, I know many of us are familiar with the site, Leonard Street. We have regular bus. It's a regular bus route. It's not a TOD, but it has ample public transit, and across the street from a park, and as well as East Leonard, which our fire chief will be using soon. So, all right, commissioners, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next is a resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment for 1516 Cesar Chavez redevelopment project located at that same address. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. We will once again turn it over to Mr. Raniero to talk about this. We have had public hearings related to this project and request as well.
Yes, thank you. This is a smaller project in that it's 17 apartments. We've got a newer developer on the scene working closely with Peter Scornia, Juan Lopez, who came to the public hearing again in September to pitch this project that would ultimately add 2 additional stories to accommodate those upper residential units. Otherwise, there's lots of partner support on this, and I'm happy to get into the detail if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. I know many of us are excited to see this move forward. It's a great location, great project, but also it's really great to see smaller developers move forward and get support, not just from the city, but also other private partners. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, our next 2 items are related to that same project. This is a resolution establishing an obsolete property rehabilitation district pursuant to PA 146 of 2000 for 1516 Cesar Chavez LLC. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Mr. Raniero, anything else to add?
Nope, not at this time. Thanks.
Okay, I'll see if anyone has questions or comments. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, and then the last item related to this project, resolution approving a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate pursuant to PA 146 of 2000 for the same project located at 1516 Cesar Chavez. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next is a resolution approving the submission of a neighborhood enterprise zone exemption certificate application for Larlin Communication, Inc. at 640 Eastern Avenue Southeast. Can I get a motion? All right, moved and supported. Mr. Neri, you want to tell us about this item?
Yes, this item came for a public hearing at the August 27th City Commission meeting, and this is the activation along Eastern. It's currently a 2-story building that will be demolished, and a new construction of 4-story mixed-use building will house 12 residential units as well as commercial and retail space. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Commissioners, any questions about this? I know we're all familiar with this location and the need for this redevelopment. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, commissioners, before we move forward with our briefings, I am going to call for executive session. So we have 3 items to discuss in executive session related to legal opinions. And City Attorney, let me just ask you one more time. Do you want to go in for one of those items directly after COW, knowing that we may need to come back at 2 or have it added to our 2 p.m.?
We can do that, because it's our council.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
and we're not waiting for,
outside, too.
okay, we're not waiting for outside counsel to join us. Okay, so commissioners, that would mean right after COW, we'll go into executive session to hear one of those items. And then the other 2 will happen after our 2 p.m. meeting, directly after 2 p.m. So that is what I'm asking approval for. Those 3, 1 directly after COW, 2 directly after our 2 p.m. City Commission meeting. So can I get a motion for those 3 executive sessions?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. This is a roll call vote. So I'll start down here with Commissioner Perdue.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Sussy.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner Goy.
Yes.
And I am a yes. All right. So thank you, commissioners. That will be our plan. And so that will take us to our briefings today. We have a couple briefings before us today. The first one will be by our city clerk, Mr. Joel Hondor. Talk to us about elections. We got 4 weeks from today.
Yeah, we're at, I think, 28 days.
20.
It's less if you count when we start early voting. So excited to be here to give an update not only to you, but also our residents that are watching as well. Just a quick update, what's happened in 2024 so far. In the February election, we had about a 19% turnout. In the August election, it was a little higher at 23.5. But if you notice, it's the same percentage of people used either voted in the precinct, voted absentee, and voted early. It was the same percentage marks. It'll probably be a little bit different for November because it's usually a higher turnout. We'll be closer to 63 to 66% turnout compared to 23.5. So a lot more voters will be there. So it'll be a little different. It'll probably be a little bit higher of voters that actually vote in the precinct based on how many absentee ballots so far. Looking back at some November elections, just to give you a sense of where we were in the past, if you go back to November 2016, it was about 63% turnout. Then you can see in the midterms, it goes down to the 50%. In November 2020, we were at 66%. That was about 90,000 voters. And I think we're going to be right around that same mark again. And remember, that was during a pandemic also. So so we'll see what happens with this election as far as turnout, but we're kind of looking at that same thing. You can see that that registered voters change a little bit. They went down from 2022 to 2023, and that's when we're doing list maintenance. The Secretary of State's office, after general elections, does a major list maintenance along with local clerks. So those that are on the rolls, the rolls are cleaned up after general elections. We don't do any kind of major changes especially within 90 days of an election. And you'll see on a future slide what our current voter registration is, and it's quite significantly higher. There's been a lot of adding to voter registration. Just a brief update on Proposal 2, just as a reminder of what Proposal 2 of 2022 did. It allowed a minimum of about 9 days of early voting. Just a reminder, Grand Rapids is going to have our own voting sites, and we're going to have 4 voting sites for this election. I'll talk about those a little bit later. Absentee ballots is postage page. You don't have to put a stamp on it, or you can bring it to a drop box. So that's been taken away as a hindrance. But we've been doing postage paid even before the state was paying for it. We ask every voter to show a photo ID. If they don't have it, they fill out an affidavit. Allows public sources to help fund elections. We just recently received a $100,000 grant that the commission approved us receiving that grant from Institute for Responsive Government. It allows voters to register for absentee ballots for all future elections, so you don't have to do an application every election. So we have about 25,000 people that are on that permanent ballot list, so you will automatically get a ballot mailed every election. Our military and overseas voters, they have their ballot can be counted after the election as long as it's postmarked before Election Day. Sometimes it takes a long time to get a piece of mail from Europe or the Middle East. and get it back to us. And so this gives that a little more time. If it's postmarked by Election Day, we can bring it over to the Board of Canvassers and be added to the count after. It requires a drop box for every 15,000 voters in the municipality. So we have, because of our registered voters, we have 10 drop boxes throughout the city. I'll talk about those a little bit later as well. Established post-election audits are done by state and local officials, and it says canvassing boards, which is the Kent County Board of Canvassers, have to certify election results based on the official vote counts. So looking at absentee voting, so we have three streams of voting. We have absentee voting, we have early voting, and then we have election day voting. So first, for absentee voting, we are up to 151,693 registered voters. That's the highest we've ever had in the city of Grand Rapids. As we've been talking about all these housing that's been happening, so which means with more housing becomes more registered voters as well. We've mailed, as of yesterday afternoon, we've mailed 32,826 ballots, and we've received 4,694. So 14% of the ballots have been returned. If you want an absentee ballot, you can get them still. You can go online at mi.gov/vote, or you can come to the clerk's office and pick up a ballot in person. And our drop boxes are available 24/7 at all the Grand Rapids Library locations, 300 Ottawa, right across the street here, and at the Cook Library on Cesar Chavez. So lots of opportunities, several locations in each ward to be able to drop off your ballot. And we empty those every business day, and then once on the weekend. So they're not just sitting there this whole time. They're getting picked up all the time. Moving on to early voting locations and hours. We have 4 locations for this. In the first ward, it'll be St. Peter and Paul School, GRPS University in the second ward, and Ottawa Hills High School in the old cafeteria in the third ward. And then for this election, we'll be also at DeVos Place. Any voter in Grand Rapids can go to any of those 4 locations. You don't have, it's not like it's precinct selective, just like it is on election day. You'll be put on the list. So if you live in the first ward and you happen to be out 28th Street shopping area, you can go over to Ottawa Hills High School on Burton and do that as well. So, or if you're downtown, you can just walk into DeVos Place. So lots of different options. You can see the times there, October 26th through November 3. For those 9 days, every day 9 to 5, except for the Tuesday and Thursday, 11 to 7. So come do your trick-or-treating and voting at one of the early voting sites on the 31st. And then we have election day voting, and that's historically what everybody's used to. November 5, 2024, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you're still in line at 8 o'clock, you can still vote. The same thing goes with registering to vote. You can do that up until 8 o'clock as well. All voters are asked to show picture ID. If they do not have picture ID, they have to fill out an affidavit claiming their identity. And in the first ward, there's a new polling site for Precinct 11. It'll be at Crossroads Bible Church on Scribner due to the closing of Stocking School. And I'll bring future reports as we go into 2025 about looking at different precincts and how those look in the future. And then, so not only did we have Proposal 2 of 2022, we also had a lot of election laws that happened over the last year as well. It changed how we do things. And one of them is a voter may cast their absentee ballot in the tabulator in their precinct or during early voting. So it's kind of like a hybrid method. So you get your absentee mailed to you. You can take time to watch the gazillion commercials out there, read voting guides, just prepare your ballot. And then if you want to actually see it go through the tabulator, you can bring that ballot to the early voting site or to your precinct and put it through a tabulator. You'll be converted from an absentee voter and become a in-person voter. So that's a nice thing there as well. Another law that I had advocated for a long time, a lot of clerks advocated for, is early tabulation of absentee ballots. If you remember in 2020, it was up until like Wednesday afternoon, we were still tabulating absentee ballots. We can now start up to 2 Mondays before the election tabulating absentee ballots. We will not release any results until after 8 o'clock on election night. So we're going to be starting the Tuesday before the election tabulating absentee ballots, which gives us a lot of time and a lot less pressure so we can get those results there, but also that we're doing things accurately and we're not rushing and trying to get things done. So that's a law that clerks have been advocating for a long time. So finally, know before you go. Go to Michigan or mi.gov/vote to check and or update your voter registration, find your polling location, early voting site, find all the Dropbox locations, or view a sample ballot. So there's a lot of information on that website. For those that are have moved recently into the city of Grand Rapids, they're maybe here for going to Grand Valley or Davenport or GRCC and need to register vote, please do it. There's no reason to wait. Do it now. You can wait till the last minute, but it just makes it easier on everybody if everybody just takes care of their voter registration as of right now. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, City Clerk, for that update. I'll turn it over to my I just want to say thanks for all your work and your entire team. I keep telling people we have one of the best clerks in the state of Michigan, and I am 100% confident we're going to have a smooth, seamless, safe, and secure election. And if people have questions about the process, they can reach out to you directly. So thank you, and thanks for helping to get the word out as well.
Yep.
I know you've been doing a lot of presentations and speaking engagements and helping to spread the word. So thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? No. All right. Well done. Yeah. Thank you. All right, next, for our next briefing, this is our regular briefing and update as we work through the update of our master plan. And so with this, I'll turn it over to our planning director, Ms. Turkelson, to take it away.
Yeah, good morning, Commission.
Good morning.
Thank you. This is our second and final high-level briefing that we'll be bringing to you regarding the Community Master Plan. You may recall that we had a cadence of going to the Planning Commission for what we call the deep dives, where we got into a lot of detail about the content of the plan, and then provided you with a higher-level overview of the plan, and as well as kind of a report out of what the Planning Commission discussed and or modified. So today we wanted to provide you with that overview and do the remaining chapters. You may recall in your first deep dive, we summarized chapters 1 through 4. This would be the final chapter, chapter 5, desirable development character, as well as a review of the 3 area-specific plans that were created as part of this process with Creston, Butterworth, and Southtown neighborhoods. Of course, all of the other area-specific plans from previous efforts are going to be carrying forward, so they're not lost. They will still be valid, but for purposes of what's new, we are focusing on these 3 today. And then finally, reminding you of what that final timeline will be leading up to what we hope is adoption. And so what is a community master plan? Just really important because we get a lot of questions and maybe comments about what people think a community master plan is, really focused on that long range vision for the community as it relates to the physical development. How do we want to grow and develop? It is not a plan that's going to take care of all of the concerns within the city that have been raised previously and or through this effort, but it's important that we think of this as almost like a puzzle. This is one important piece that works in conjunction with several other plans that my colleagues in other departments like economic development and mobile GR are also working on, and those are all coordinated as part of this process. So here's the timeline that should look familiar to you. We are in the plan development phase leading into adoption, so we're in the home stretch. And with that, oh, no, one more. And then, of course, the framework of the plan itself, looking at that vision statement for the next 20 years. We've talked about the community values. Those were items that were really important to the community: equity, safety, vibrancy, culture, and sustainability. And we felt that because they were so important that we wanted to make sure that they were embedded in all of the other chapter areas, such as great neighborhoods, for example, versus having a standalone chapter that is dedicated to sustainability, making sure that the integration was important. So the 5 goal areas are the subject of the chapter reviews that we've been working through with the Planning Commission and yourself. And then finally, we have objectives and recommendations that are coming forward through the plan that will guide future work, such as an update to the zoning ordinance. So with that, I will hand it over to our project manager, Leila Islani. She has been instrumental in this process. I truly don't know what I would have done without her leadership and guidance. She's really a phenomenal writer that has delved deep into the language, making sure that we have consistency. And so my confidence in this is very high with her leading this through the management. So thank you.
I'll add my thanks to your
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to dive into the final chapters of the Community Master Plan. So these chapters, the Desirable Development Character is Chapter 5, and this is really where all the recommendations and ideas from the previous chapters come together in principles and guidelines and maps. And we'll be looking at this frequently when we update our zoning ordinance, like Kristen spoke about after we're done with this plan. So the development principles describe the how and where growth in Grand Rapids should occur, the kind of environments we're trying to create. They focus on quality, appearance, pattern, and character of development. And then they come together in the future character map, which depicts the locations where certain concepts apply. And I'll show you that in a couple slides. We also have this conceptual development framework. This really focuses on nodes, and these nodes are areas where residential, commercial, and public uses and transportation come together. They have the potential, or already are, walkable and economically diverse, and they provide residents and visitors opportunities to amenities, services, and shopping. And they are connected by significant corridors. This is that future character and land use map. So we have these different types of uses. This describes what the built environment looks like, or what we want it to look like going forward over the next 20 years in each of these colorful areas. We go into, with the full plan, a description. We have a page on each of these character types that describes more about what we hope to see as our city grows and develops. And I also recommend looking at this on your computers, because then you can zoom in to specific areas and see it a little bit more detailed. I know it's hard when it's just this one map. The design guidelines really build more on what we want things to look like, making sure that we're complementing the existing built environment and building on what's already there. They talk about being new buildings, redevelopment being compatible, pedestrian-oriented, and being high quality. So next we have the area-specific plans, and like Kristen said, the previous area-specific plans that were adopted under the 2002 master plan are going to be carried forward. We also developed one area-specific plan in each ward as part of this process in Creston, the Southtown neighborhoods, and Butterworth. And I like to say that the master plan is kind of the 10,000-foot level, and then the area-specific plans is more of the 3,000-foot level. So how do the principles and recommendations of the larger community master plan apply at a neighborhood level? So for Creston, we heard a lot about wanting to build on the existing momentum of the riverfront development as we extend our river trail north, wanting to build on, they have a slogan there, keep Creston funky. They want to continue that. We heard a lot about wanting more bicycling and walking opportunities. They really like the separated bike path along Riverside Park, and they want more of that. We heard a lot that people don't feel protected just by paint with our bicycle lanes. So they kind of want more of that everywhere, better crossing opportunities on streets, especially on Plainfield, because it is a long corridor that connects the community. It's kind of the spine of the neighborhood. There's also an idea, and I think this has been mentioned before, about creating a plaza where Coit meets Plainfield Avenue. That would obviously take further vetting with our design team, but that is one idea, and then focusing on some of the school redevelopment sites going forward. In the Southtown neighborhoods, I do want to say that the Southtown Business Area Specific Plan was completed in 2019 for the business districts in Southtown, and this goes back and picks up that residential piece to kind of build and complement the other plans. So these will work together going forward, as well as on Division. We have the Division Corridor Plan and then the Rapids Division United Plan. So we heard a lot about development without displacement. So as development pressure moves further south, how do we ensure that existing residents can stay in their homes, stay in their neighborhoods? So there's some recommendations in there about that. And then also connecting residents with existing city services or expanding city services to ensure that people can maintain their homes, stay in their homes, and then building on the local culture. We know there's a bunch of different neighborhoods within Southtown, and each has their own feel and culture, and just building on the good stuff that's already there. With Butterworth, this area is our smallest area-specific plan, but it's an interesting area because it's where a bunch of different uses come together. We have industrial, we have commercial, we have campus, Grand Valley is right there. So it was an interesting place to look at. So people wanted to kind of build on the business district that's there. Again, kind of like with Creston, they want more safer, walkable and bikeable streets. And then they want more park activation. So they mentioned the Westtown Commons Park having more activities there. And I would say also that all three of these ASPs also kind of focus on housing and show how more housing can fit into the existing neighborhoods through accessory dwelling units and other types of housing. So we presented this, like Kristen said, to Planning Commission recently. They had a couple comments. I'm going to go over those quickly here. So they wanted to know with the conceptual development framework more about how the nodes were determined. So we're going to add the methodology to that section. They also wanted a better link between the nodes and the future character. So our consultant team and us are going back and looking at that to make sure that that's reflected on that future character map. And then not sure what that is, but the innovation centers, these are areas that are sort of more previously industrial, and there is a part in the plan that talks about adding more tree canopy, but they wanted to see that on that character sheet that describes the innovation centers. As these areas redevelop, there is opportunity to add more green. And then we talked a little bit more about campus. Looking at that, maybe considering a higher threshold for the next 20 years as to how we define campus. And then there was a concern about parks and open space. Private golf courses right now are shown as parks and open space. So we're looking at, but they're not necessarily accessible to the public. So we're looking at how to better talk about that in the plan. So here's the adoption process timeline. You've seen this before. We're here in the middle of it on October 8th. Next week, the public comment period ends. So please encourage your constituents to go on to our website at bridgetourfuture.com. Check out the plan. We have a comment box that people can submit comments. We updated the Planning Commission on some of those comments that we received on September 26th, and we'll be going back on October 24th, giving a wrap up of any additional comments that we've received, and then the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing, hopefully recommend adoption, and then it'll be coming to you again. So here's a deeper look at that. On November 12th, we're going to do a presentation on the process and the plan organization at this meeting at Committee of the Whole, and this would be an opportunity for you to ask questions that you may still have, and we will answer those, and if we're not able to answer those, we will get you written responses by November 19th. At November 19th, we'll be at the night meeting, and we'll cover the plan content, kind of high level of the past two presentations we've given you prior to the public hearing, with adoption anticipated in December. So with that, I will take any questions.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner Purdue?
Good morning. Thank you for this update. In relationship to the Southtown Neighborhood ASP, I'm surprised to see a lack of connectivity to the river and walkability listed. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, let me just note that really quick.
So I know that as you write that down. Just as background, the third ward is the only ward in the city that's not actually touching the river. But with all the development and the new assets being built, there is a desire to make sure that there is a clear connection. I think that what might have been more explicitly stated in the Equitable Economic Development Plan. Or one of our many plans. And so I was surprised to not see it here along with the walkability factor that's been a part of a lot of conversations.
Right. Those are good comments, and I think there is an opportunity to add that to the plan. So I will connect with our consultant team and ask that they take another look at that and add it where applicable.
Thank you. And can you just talk a little bit more about your community engagement related to the ASPs within the ward? So you talked about Planning Commission quite a bit. And then I know you already kind of reviewed the outreach you did related to the overall CMP, but can you talk about your engagement to date or plan related to the ASP specifically?
Yes. So we did a combination of asking about the ASPs at the larger citywide meetings that we had for the main community master plan, as well as smaller meetings within the community. So each area-specific plan had a kind of kickoff meeting with stakeholders where we discussed what they wanted to see for the plan. It had 2 larger public meetings, and then we also, I know specifically for Southtown, we were at one of the commission night outs we had an activity about the area-specific plans. And then we presented, by request, I've been going, Kristen and I have been going and presenting to, I presented the Creston Land Use Committee about the draft of the plan, and I presented to the Southtown Corridor Improvement Authority, and Tyler Kent, our Assistant Planning Director, went and spoke to JBAN about the Butterworth plan.
Thank you. And are you still taking requests for additional engagement?
Yes, we have another week in the public comment period, so I would definitely encourage people to let us know if they have any comments or want us to come out. I know we're a little pressed on time, but yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And just in follow-up, and then I think did I see Commissioner Isasi's hand? In follow-up to that, it would be nice to incorporate some of the work being done, going back to the question around connectivity, like the work that we're doing with trails and the Oxford Trail to connect that down to Wealthy. And then also the GR Forward Plan, which is technically the area-specific plan for downtown that already exists and is currently in existence and is part of our current master plan. I'm assuming will continue as a part of the master plan.
Yes, that's going to be brought forward. And we also, we've been talking with DJI about updating the downtown population goal. So our plan talks about significantly increasing that and letting the GR Forward process, when they update it, take care of that.
Okay, good. Commissioner Isasi?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I wasn't able to be at the Land Use Committee. I was traveling, but I heard that was a well-attended meeting, and I know Creston in particular has been really working to get neighbors to a variety of the general meetings as well as about the ASP. Would definitely agree. We're seeing that denser housing come on that corridor in Creston, and I think in the past, Mayor, probably when you were commissioner, just some of the challenges without having an ASP to be as competitive for some of the LIHTC credits there. So seeing that and seeing that now play out I think is really positive. I think these items around our facade repairs, our CIA is actually going through a process to determine if we want to make some changes to our facade program. So I think Ms. Renero came to the last meeting about that. So how do we connect? And I think in the past, Ms. Turkelson, we've had some conversations about how do we even include, like on the permitting process, you may be in a corridor improvement authority district, kind of seek out some of these things before you get started. So I appreciate that, trying to kind of connect those points. I also think we have an opportunity, as we talked about, equitable economic development and mobile GR plan. How do we get people into these districts? And we have our car share pilot, so how can we create little communication hubs, so maybe where people would most frequent, reminding people of, so trying to work inside our business districts to communicate that out. when people are coming to shop or maybe on a corridor. So that's something that we're looking to connect into, which is a separate investment, obviously outside of our corridors. I would be remiss if I didn't second and third the bicycle and walking. My husband's an avid bike rider and has come to the meetings and be like, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to come to the master planning process and share some of these perspectives. And then I think, certainly Creston has been a leader on the climate resiliency piece and working to, kind of communicate with neighbors. What are the things that we also, obviously we're working on our community-wide goal, but what are some of the things that we can do individually in our homes, bringing in some of the utilities to understand what that usage is. So I would say this seems like right on target for some of the things that I'm hearing into my office. So thank you for that.
Thank you for those comments.
Thank you. Commissioners, other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. City Manager, any final thoughts to add?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to also express my thanks to the planning department, planning team for their work. It's exciting when you think about this very transformational planning effort for our city and the fact that we're just not doing it across the city, but taking the time to really look at areas that really have not had that kind of intentional planning. So I would only echo for the Southtown. I know we've talked about a cultural tour in the southeast part of the city. And one of the goals was to preserve culture. If there's any way to talk about that kind of artistic tourism, either in the neighborhoods or business corridor, I think that might be an enhancement to the Southtown ASP.
Thanks, City Manager. All right, Commissioners, with that, I will close our Committee of the Whole meeting. Please join me, how about 5 minutes down in the Law Library for one of our executive sessions today. And then some of us are back in here for EDPT at 12:30, and then we're all back together at 2 o'clock.